Hey, so the First Amendment is dead. You have no freedom of speech. Soup's cool. Soup's cool. Shh, we're fine. We're gonna be fine. We're going to be informed. Actually, is what we're definitely going to do. So I'm just gonna have a little conversation about this little memoranda right here, countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. Soup's cool. I don't know if you guys saw in the other video that I made that will be linked in this one at some point. This and another really problematic memoranda were both signed and published on the exact same day. A problematic day in history, unfortunate. Now, some might say that it's unrelated, but as a Libra, I think that it is incredibly rude that these two incredibly violent memorandas were both signed and published at the very beginning of Libra season. I specifically deserve better. I do not like this. This needs to stop. Listen, Libra women, angels. Libra men, jail. That's besides the point. Let's talk. So before I dive into this little nugget, hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about decentering men and child-free living through an intersectional lens on this platform, specifically as these two concepts, these two very normal, stable ideas and lifestyles intersect with patriarchy, white supremacy, and capitalism. There's a hyper focus on the United States as somebody that is born and raised in the United States, and we are seeing the active crumbling of the empire. So if any of that sounds interesting, hey, like, share, subscribe, join the party. I don't always talk like this, but this makes me nervous. So I might be talking like this a little bit to add some levity. And hey, hypothetically speaking, if you're interested in leaving the United States, head over to the description. Look for Black Babes Abroad on Substack. There's about 1,000 women and queer people over there that we're making plans. People are making plans. I already moved out of the United States. I've immigrated to multiple countries. So has the co-founder, another Black babe living in Denmark. We're sharing resources. If you hypothetically want to go, hypothetically speaking, there's resources for you. Okay, let's read this scary thing. So, Section 1, domestic terrorism and organized political violence. Heinous assassinations and other acts of political violence in the United States have dramatically increased in recent years. Dare I say, yeah, there's been a lot of police brutality against Black people, against queer people, against women. Violence against women has really skyrocketed. And look at there's been so much reporting that's been removed as it relates to violence against pregnant people. I'm sure that's what he's going to be talking about. Even in the aftermath of the horrifying assassination of Charlie Kirk, you can't assassinate an influencer. That was just the guy on YouTube with incredibly long gums. Some individuals who adhered to the alleged shooter's ideology embraced and cheered this evil murder while actively encouraging more political violence. Hey, guess what? That was a white supremacist going after another white supremacist. I don't know what this has to do. I don't know why Black people were being targeted. This sounds like white on white crime. Why don't we just talk about white on white crime for a little bit? That's not what's going to happen. Let's continue. This was preceded by the 2024 assassination of a senior healthcare executive. All hail Luigi, and the 2022 assassination attempt at Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. We all know how we feel about Brett Kavanaugh, but also what about that legislator that was actually assassinated with her husband in cold blood because she was a Democrat, because she was working for the rights of marginalized people? Why don't we? I have a whole video about that. That's not who we're talking about, though. Cool. The two separate assassination attempts against my own life in less than 3 months took place during the 2024 presidential election cycle. All right, whatever. Riots in Los Angeles and Portland reflect a more than 1,000% increase in attacks on U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officers since January 21st, 2025, compared to the same period last year. Dare I say, sometimes you have to fight Nazis. Sometimes you have to fight the Gestapo. Sometimes you just want to make it home. And with the increase of these, you know what, Shayna, we got to keep it pushing. We got a lot to cover on here. Just yesterday, a shooting targeting an ICE facility in Dallas resulted in multiple casualties. They shouldn't have been there then. Separate anti-police and criminal justice riots have left many people dead and injured and inflicted over $2 billion in property damage nationwide. There's so much wrong. There's so much wrong, and I can't talk about how much wrong there is because this video would go on for days. Dare I say, most of that property damage is probably from ICE breaking into people's homes, destroying people's cars, destroying people's clothing, electronic devices in the attempts to kidnap folks. But that's besides the point. Let's keep it pushing. This political violence is not a series of isolated incidents and does not emerge organically. Instead, it is one second. I need to put on focus mode. There's too many people messing. A culmination of sophisticated and organized campaigns of targeted intimidation, radicalization, threats, and violence designed to silence opposing speech. This is quite literally limit political activity, change or direct policy outcomes, and prevent the functioning of a democratic society. This is literally, these are all the things that this administration is actively doing. They are doing targeted intimidation. They are radicalizing people. There are threats, specific threats against marginalized groups. They are limiting political activity. They are trying to change and direct policy outcomes, and they are actively preventing a democratic society, a new law enforcement strategy that investigates all participants in these criminal and terroristic conspiracies, including the organized structures, networks, entities, organizations, funding sources, and predicate actions behind them is required. So, if you have done anything to protect yourself against the Gestapo, if you have done anything to help other people protect themselves against this administration, if you believe in human rights and in sharing information and creating organizations, official or unofficial, to help preserve human rights, that is what is being that is they're after you, after us, dare I say. These campaigns often begin by isolating and dehumanizing specific targets to justify murder or other violent action against them. They do so through a variety of fora, including anonymous chat forums, in-person meetings, social media, and even educational institutions. And so the attacks on educational institutions, mind you, no kid left behind. We are surrounded by the kids that have been left behind. Inundated. But yeah, so you're seeing what they're saying, everything out loud. I just want to make sure that we're catching that. These campaigns then escalate to organized doxing, where the private or identifying information of their targets, such as home addresses, phone numbers, and other personal information, is exposed to the public with the explicit intent of encouraging others to harass, intimidate, or violently assault them. As in the case of several ICE agents in Los Angeles being doxed, the goal of these campaigns can be to obstruct the operations of the federal government, as well as aid and abet criminal activity the federal government is lawfully pursuing. So if you try to stop the Nazis from kidnapping people, if you try to stop the slave catchers from kidnapping people and bringing them to undisclosed locations where hopefully they will survive, but multiple people have died in ICE detention centers, concentration camps, dare I say, and citizens are also being detained. They have also opened the gates for multiple citizens, an indefinite amount of citizens, to be detained. You trying to prevent any of that? Crime. Let us continue. These campaigns are coordinated and perpetuated by actors who have developed a comprehensive strategy to achieve specific policy goals through radicalization and violent intimidation. The call is coming from he's speaking directly into the mirror and saying that it's somebody else. He's looking directly at his face. The administration is looking directly at their face and saying, how dare they do that? It's not you who's doing that. How dare they do that? Oh, it's fine. I don't want to freak anybody out. Hey guys, don't want to freak anybody out. Just trying to keep everybody informed. Okay, these are common reoccurrent motivations and indica indicacy. Pardon me, an indicia. All right, I'll look that up later. Uniting this pattern of violent terroristic activities under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism. I will be making another video about that specifically because guess what? Now being anti-fascist is considered terroristic. Soup's cool, soup's cool. These movements portray fundamental American principles, the support of law enforcement and border patrol as fascist. Hey, guess what? Yes, that is an American principle. The United States was founded on fascism, on slavery, on genocide, and so much rape and murder. Soup's cool. We're saying the same thing. Some people are just saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. But you're like, no, this is true United States principles, which unfortunately, yes. And the support of law enforcement and border control. Yeah, soups. We're all on the same page. As fascists, to justify and encourage acts of violent revolution, this anti-fascist lie has become the organizing rally cry used by domestic terrorists. Oop, there's the phrase. To wage a violent assault against democratic institutions, constitutional rights, and fundamental American liberties. They're saying everything out loud. They're calling people that believe in human rights terrorists. And unfortunately, as I made in this video right up here, I think they're planning on dealing with... I'm chill. I'm soups chill. All right, we're just gonna keep reading. Common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity. Support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality. So if you have any kind of criticism against the ongoing empire that is the United States, they are considering this violent conduct. They are considering this extremism, and they are considering this domestic terrorism. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page about this, especially as it relates to extremism on migration, on race. So if you feel like immigrants deserve rights, if you feel like marginalized people in terms of race deserve rights, and gender, hey, decentering men, especially as it relates to where are we traditional American views on family, decentering men, child-free live, like we've already seen the policies. I've been discussing them ad nauseum on here, but the policies speak for themselves, but now they're just saying everything out loud. At the most fundamental level of policy making and up, they're coming after folks. As described in the order on September 22nd, 2025, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. We'll be discussing that whenever it's live. I'll be having it right up here where my face was. The groups and entities that perpetuate this extremism have created a movement that embraces and elevates violence to achieve policy outcomes, including justifying additional assassinations. For example, Charlie Kirk, he was an influencer, just a booga behind a microphone. Alleged assassin engraved the bullets used in the murder with so-called anti-fascist rhetoric. So, white on white crime. So for the sake of not making this video insanely long, please go and read this. I will have the link to this below, but I do just want to say that they already have a specialized police task force for finding people, potentially arresting people, likely arresting people, intimidating people, harassing people, abusing people. Like they already have a task force already assembled. Soup's cool. And I just want to jump down a little bit to this little paragraph right over here. So the more specific Gestapo shall also investigate, right over here in C, part 2, non-governmental organizations and American citizens residing abroad or with close ties to foreign governments, agents, citizens, foundations, or influence networks engaged in violations of the Foreign Agents Restriction Act or money laundering by funding, creating, or supporting entities that engage in activities that support and encourage domestic terrorism. Let's break that down for a second. Double why? Because later on in this, there's talks about the IRS getting involved. Now, there's already a whole other conversation that like we've been having on here where it's like ladies are planning on getting rid of your like when coming after your passports, your ability to travel, they're coming after your bank accounts. They're coming after all of your freedoms, right? That's been an ongoing conversation. And they're finding a way to get the IRS involved because one thing people are going to do is die and pay taxes. And they're specifically speaking about American citizens residing abroad. Something that I am doing is and like really trying to do, like I already have an international bank account. Not just like a digital one. I also have one from one of the countries that I lived in prior to here, and I have a little bit tucked away over there just in case. Because I don't trust the United States. I never have, and clearly it's like I shouldn't. And as somebody that speaks about the patterns of discrimination that this country has consistently been doing, like to criticize the United States is to be anti-American, to want to share resources with people and to not think that human beings are commodities to be sold for parts and worked to death is anti-capitalist, to not want to subscribe to manifest destiny, the erasure of other cultures, to white Christian nationalism is in their minds anti-Christian. Like all of these things have been explicitly stated in here, and they're saying that regardless of if you are in the United States or if you move abroad, we will be doing our research. Now, how many people are they going to have to do this research? Who knows? How much funding also doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, very stupid. Very, very stupid. And the amount of people that are speaking up about this at every level, dare I say, everybody is already talking about what is happening in the United States. So unless you're literally going to arrest everybody, which also includes the people that are working for you in ICE, then like what's happening? What's happening? I mean, we know what's happening. The fall of the empire is happening, but Lord have mercy. It makes me sweaty, guys. It makes me really, really sweaty. 1 second. Now, I left the United States and have no plans on returning anytime soon, for obvious reasons that I've been discussing on here. If you would like to leave the United States with no plans of returning anytime soon, once again, head over to Black Babes Abroad, whole community over there. We're workshopping ideas, like, because it's gonna look different for everybody depending on what your needs are. I'm a travel journalist. I talk a lot about this, like at my job. So yeah, let's just pay attention. Let's just make some plans. Once again, if you're planning on staying in the United States, no heat, no judgment. It's just, there's a different game plan. You gotta buckle down, you gotta build community, you gotta be intentional, you gotta protect each other. I have a whole video where like, yes, I was very sleepy when I made the video, bear with me. But there's a whole video about like ways to build communities, lasting, protection-based communities within the United States if you're planning on staying. Link right up there. I adore you guys. So many kisses. Stay safe, stay informed, stay focused, stay sane. And I'll talk to you next time. Okay, bye.